Support for Lab Out Loud is provided by NSTA, the National Science Teaching Association. Find out more about what NSTA has to offer at nsta.org. This episode of Lab Out Loud is sponsored by iRobot Education. Using robots to empower learning, iRobot Education offers online, offline, and in-person experiences to inspire and equip students of all demographics and skill levels with the abilities they need to succeed. Visit edu.irobot.com to learn more. You're listening to Lab Out Loud, science for the classroom and beyond. And today, our guest works at NASA. So many of us are learning, teaching, and working remotely, and that's something that NASA has lots of experience with.
Not only are we supporting our astronauts at a long distance, but we also have had teams across the world developing our science missions and conducting those missions, and as well as our human exploration, aeronautics, and other activities. Those people have been developing this system virtually for many years because a lot of our supply chain and our teams are distributed geographically all over the country and also all over the world.
That's up next on Lab Out Loud, but first I'm your co-host Dale Basler.
And I'm Brian Bartel.
Well, you know, this is episode 227, and you think we would have every obstacle, like we've seen every obstacle of making this podcast, but, we do it remotely. But today we had a new stumbling block.
Oh, my word.
Trying to call in Skype. What exactly was happening, Brian?
Okay, so sometimes we get this where we get a phone number and then we have to dial into a phone service and give a password. So in Skype, we can call out easily.
I hear
Welcome to the NASA audio conferencing system. Please enter your passcode and press the pound key.
But in order to enter in the passcode, it asks you to type in a hashtag or the pound key. Hashtag for you younger folks, pound key for some of our older listeners.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I was trying to get the code in, and the pound key was grayed out. I couldn't punch it in. So the system couldn't hear that last tone to process the passcode.
And I felt like it was one of those Apollo 13 moments where it's like, all right, here's what we have, and we got to figure it out. And
War Games. That's the other one I was thinking of.
So we got to put this website in the show notes. I think it was Online Tone Generator, which I pulled up on my phone, and I played it into the system from my phone.
Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. If you need technical support during the meeting, press *0 and an operator will assist you. Please
I love
wait
that
for
so
the
much.
tone. Then say your name and press the pound or hash key.
Oh, we didn't say our name last time. Dale and Brian.
You got to push the hash key.
Oh.
When you hear the tone, you will be the third person to join the meeting.
Morning when I was waking up. Oh, yeah.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Or
Good morning. Good morning.
Good. Hi. How is it going today? Dale and I
Great on my end.
are ready to go. We did have one little snafu, but we got in this time.
So NASA is serious about their phone lines, I tell you.
That's right. We had to MacGyver our way around the NASA phone system by giving them fake tones from a third party through your speakers. But we made it.
Yes.
As you can hear, we were able to connect with our guest. So joining us today is Kris Brown. She's going to talk to us about some resources that NASA has developed, especially for students at home, and particularly some activities that you can engage students with for the upcoming NASA SpaceX launch on May 27th. Here's Kris Brown now.
I'm Kris Brown. I'm the Deputy Associate Administrator for STEM engagement at NASA. I'm really lucky to have a job where I'm leading a team across NASA, our STEM engagement community, who's dedicated to creating opportunities for students and educators. Particularly, we develop opportunities and learning activities for students to engage with us so that they can contribute to NASA's work and also get exposed to what it's like to be working at NASA as an engineer, scientist, or technologist.
Now, you're I don't want to say a former engineer, because you're still an engineer, right? And that's where you got your start?
Yes, indeed. I got started at NASA as an engineer. I'm trained as a mechanical systems engineer. We were working on spacecraft hardware, and early in my career, I was responsible for the mechanical systems for a number of space missions, some of which flew on the space shuttle.
Oh, wow. So you have things that you worked on that are in space or were in space?
Yes. I worked on a number of missions where they were dedicated to science exploration and discovery. I was first an engineer at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center.
Oh, wow.
Goddard does a whole realm of science missions, both dedicated to Earth science, the study of our home planet, and space science, astrophysics, heliophysics, and planetary science.
So you have curated, your office has curated a lot of resources, especially during this school closure time right now. Can you tell us what you have available?
Yes, we're really excited that we have been able to pull together all the existing resources that we had that were available virtually for students to be able to conduct a number of learning activities using readily available materials from home. And so these are specifically designed for students in different grade levels. So we have a site for students in grades K through 4, another for students in grades 5 through 8, and then finally for high school students as well. And these activities range from building activities, solving different kinds of puzzles and problems, games that are available virtually, and things to read and explore through videos and other digital resources.
Is there a particular favorite that you'd like to describe and share with us?
Sure. In fact, some of our employees had a little bit of fun in sharing some of the things that they had done at home, just to try out a number of different things with their children and their families. Some of those are building edible things, building your own spacecraft as an example. Another activity is building a moon habitat. Those two in particular are for elementary-aged children. And in addition to that, we have, for middle school students, a number of modules on video for Train Like an Astronaut. So these are things, exercises, and different activities that students can do in viewing videos that are exposing them to the kinds of things that astronauts might need to think about in living and working in space.
You said some of the NASA employees pulled these together and gave you feedback. What is things like at NASA right now during the COVID-19 pandemic? Are there stay-at-home changes that have taken place there too?
Yes, absolutely. I think on the order of about 90% of our workforce right now is working from home. We have a number, of course, of mission-critical activities that require people to be on site. But at the peak, people were all transitioning to be working from home. I know our team across the agency is working from home, and we have been able to, of course, build things at the site that I talked about, NASA STEM at Home. So we've transitioned a whole number of our activities from things that were planned to be done physically to activities and learning opportunities that are available virtually. As an example, we've moved our internship program to a virtual program. So the spring interns were transitioned to being able to do their internships virtually from their homes, going back to their families. And we have also put in place a summer internship program that is totally virtual. So all of our summer interns will be working from their homes and engaging with their mentors and NASA STEM practitioners across the country.
It almost seems, I mean, I'm sure it's not easier, but maybe more familiar, because certainly NASA has been working, across long distances with groups of people for decades. So
distance learning is not new to you.
Yeah, no doubt. So
right.
That transition to audio and video conferencing over a long distance, that's been done for a while, I suppose.
Yes, it has. Not only, of course, are we supporting our astronauts at a long distance, and of course, you've probably seen in the media them sharing their experiences about what it's like to working in isolation at times, or of course, very far away from home. But we also have had teams across the world conducting and developing our science missions and conducting those missions, and as well as our human exploration, aeronautics, and other activities. That those people have been developing these systems in a sense virtually for many years, because a lot of our, in a sense, our supply chain and our teams are distributed geographically all over the country and also all over the world.
That's right.
We have quite a lot of experience in working with our teams spread in different places.
This episode of Lab Out Loud is sponsored by iRobot Education. iRobot, the leader in consumer robots, is proud to announce iRobot Education. Grounded in the mission of using robots to empower learning, iRobot Education inspires the next generation of innovators through their interactive robots, free iRobot coding platform, learning library, and STEM outreach. Backed by 30 years of expertise building and programming robots, their free iRobot coding platform helps you build coding skills in an online simulated environment or in the real world using the root coding robot. Harnessing the power of auto-level conversion, the platform seamlessly translates code between 3 learning levels, making iRobot coding easily approachable for beginners, but also challenging enough to keep experienced coders engaged. Using real-world examples and learning opportunities, iRobot Education partners with schools and communities to bring STEM subjects and robotics to life. Discover coding, spark engagement, and explore their learning tools at edu.irobot.com. And now, back to the show.
You mentioned some mission-critical things that you couldn't do virtually that you have to do hands-on. I think there's something coming up next week, right, that we should be aware of and should be engaging with?
Yes, indeed. We are waiting in great anticipation for the first launch of astronauts from American soil since the last space shuttle mission in 2011.
2011. I can't remember. It's been that long. Wow.
Yeah, it was like July something, 2011.
It was just under a decade ago. So this, of course, is going to be a significant milestone for us. Wednesday, May 27th at 4:33 Eastern Time, astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley will launch to the International Space Station. They will be launching on a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft, and it will lift off on a Falcon 9 rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. And this is the SpaceX Demo 2 mission, which is an end-to-end flight test, which will be from launch to docking with the ISS, and of course then to splashdown and the recovery operations. And it's the final flight test for that system to be certified for regular flights with crew.
So the 2 astronauts are going to essentially go up, dock, and then turn around, come back, and that's just to kind of prove that that process can take place, right?
Correct. They're showing that the entirety of the mission operations are viable.
Does that mean that they won't actually enter the space station? They'll just dock to it?
No, they will be doing a stay on the space station.
Oh, they will. Oh, okay.
Correct.
Do they have anything else to do while they're on the space station other than just meet with it?
No, they will be conducting their normal work and operations on the station.
Oh, okay.
How long will they be up there?
Catherine, you'll have to help me out with that because I don't recall how long they're going to be there.
They will be there for about 2 weeks, helping do some of the scientific research that's on the International Space Station, I believe.
Last night, I actually did a little sleuthing, and I looked up like the rocket and their spacesuits, for example, are worth checking out too. They're not they're new, so they're just like you see that and you're like, oh, this is different. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Personally, I think I can speak for all of us here at NASA in saying that we're really thrilled with this milestone, and I know that I will be watching with pride and excitement next Wednesday to see us launching astronauts again from KSC.
How can our listeners watch? Students, teachers, those kinds of things. Can they watch the launch on like NASA TV or something like that?
Yes, they can. In fact, there are a number of different ways that students and educators and the public can participate. First off, there will be a broadcast on NASA TV, and that will start at 12:15 on Wednesday, and there'll be a live broadcast of the launch, and everything that pretty much happens after that will be streamed. And in addition, we're hosting for the first time ever a global LaunchAmerica NASA social. And so it's an opportunity for social media users to participate, and that would include some behind the scenes opportunities to see things behind the scenes and in a unique way that people can interact with us during the course of the event. And then students can join us with webinars, some virtual reality experiences, and activities that have been specifically designed for them in grades K through 12. And these are available through our commercial crew launch toolkit. And you can find that online.
It's funny because Dale and I both work in elementary schools, and there's been a couple of opportunities where we've seeded out some information. One of them was I sent out something about Name the NASA Rover competition, and there was a spacewalk recently back in September. I sent that out there, and I got a lot of feedback from elementary teachers that said the students just loved it, and they couldn't quite wrap their heads around that this was happening live above them. But that was sent out to classrooms where the teacher could engage with the students right there and kind of control that. But we're in distance learning right now, so we can easily see how teachers might just share this information out and say, this is part of your learning for today. Engage with this. Here's some resources, and make sure you tune in to the launch and see what's happening.
Yeah, we're really hoping that given that students are still doing their virtual learning activities, we're hoping that teachers will engage, and there are some educator guides that are available on the toolkit so that teachers can take those guides and work through those with the students. So there are several activities with the guides available. So I'd encourage everyone to go out there and have a look at it, and it will really enhance their ability to understand what's happening. And as you said, it's especially for the younger students, it's very exciting, but it is something that is complex in terms of their ability to understand what's happening. And so the combination of the materials and the activities, and then of course watching the broadcast and hearing and experiencing it, I think could be an absolutely wonderful experience for the students.
I know that NASA doesn't necessarily schedule its launches around lesson planning, but this is actually perfect because, May isn't always, especially the end of May, isn't always the time where the kids are most attentive. You're competing with nice weather and the summer vacation. And now adding the stay-at-home orders with pandemic, there's sort of people are just kind of at their wits' end. This is a perfect thing, just perfect timing. Good on NASA for having this work out just like this. I know they didn't plan it that way, but it's actually just excellent. It's a great, I don't want to say distraction, but it's just a perfect kind of nice event to have late in May.
Yes, I think it's interesting because we've been talking about the contrast of what it would have been like with no pandemic. We were expecting thousands of people to view the launch from nearby at Kennedy Space Center and accommodating literally thousands of guests. And of course, there would have been a virtual aspect of everything that we would have done. But there is really a stark contrast now from what we would have considered normal operations for such a huge milestone for us versus where we are today. And in some ways, just in thinking about the notion of a global NASA social and inviting the public to register and be able to interact with us in ways that we probably wouldn't have even thought of prior to the pandemic. So I think in a way, as you said, there is a time for us to pause and take this in a way that we may not have done in a normal set of circumstances. So
right.
So it is. Hopefully, it will be a profound and very meaningful experience for everyone, and to be able to join us in this really exciting and historic day.
Well, I'm excited. It's on my calendar, and I plan to send something out to the teachers that I work with shortly. One thing that I wanted to ask is, are there any little oddities of the mission that we might want to know about? Are there anything that the astronauts are bringing to the space station that might be of interest?
Yes, so the astronauts will be taking with them a mosaic, which was assembled with photographs that were submitted from graduates of all ages, graduates of the class of 2020. And
oh wow!
I think it'll be a really special thing for them to be taking, and I think we're looking forward to seeing what it will end up looking like. But they've assembled this mosaic with all the pictures that were submitted. I know that SpaceX had put out their news to invite graduates of the class of 2020 to submit their photographs, and it was immensely popular. They had to close down their site, I think, much earlier than they expected, that they had maxed out the number of pictures that they could accommodate.
Wow.
So they'll be taking the mosaic with them, and I believe sometime after docking, they'll be sharing that mosaic with everyone.
Out of all the tributes to the class of 2020, this one has the farthest reach.
Oh, he's here all week.
Well, thank you so much, Kris, for your time. This is, like Dale and I are excited about this. We're anticipating this launch eagerly ourselves, and we hope to see a lot of students across the world that are going to tune into this as well.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to share my thoughts, and again, we hope everybody will join us next week, and we look forward to that.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Lab Out Loud. If you'd like to learn more about some of the things discussed in this episode or previous episodes, you can find show notes at our website, laboutloud.com. If you have a guest idea or a future topic that you'd like to see on Lab Out Loud, go to our contact page and send us a message. Also, you can subscribe to Lab Out Loud on your favorite podcasting app, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you like to find podcasts. While you're there, leave us a review and rating. Your input helps others find our show. Thanks again for listening.